World War II began in Europe in September of 1939. As German tanks pushed into Poland, Jews were forced into labor and made to wear armbands with the Star of David. Before long, the Nazi presence was lethal.
In December 1941, they established a ghetto. And this isolated us from normal life. And if they caught a Jew 1 foot outside the ghetto, he was killed on the spot.
Meanwhile, those who had the means, the foresight, and the luck, in many cases, fled Europe.
My father realized that it wasn't going to be good. I don't know, he had this premonition that it wasn't going to be good for the Jews. Our relatives said, no, we can't leave. We have all our beautiful furniture and our beautiful homes here and our family and our friends. Where are we going to go? We're staying here. We're Hungarian. Well, the Hungarians were the first ones to turn them over to the Nazis and to ship them off to Auschwitz. That's where all the Hungarian Jews ended up. My whole family died in Auschwitz.
Hannah Deutch left Germany for England on the Kindertransport, or children's transport, traveling by train and ship. But even for those like Deutch, who managed to escape Hitler, life wasn't easy.
A lot of those children didn't have an easy life. They were mistreated. Some went to farmers and they were working in the field. And this was the beginning of my life, that I had to stand up for myself.
We left our entire family behind. It must have been very difficult for my parents. Not for me, I had a ball. I mean, we lived in France for 2 years. We went to the beach, we went to Cannes, we went to Juan-les-Pins. They never let on what was going on and the horrible things that were going on in Europe.
People started getting colds. There were no medicine, not even aspirin. A typhus epidemic broke out in the ghetto. People started dying like flies.
My parents knew they had to leave Germany, and all of a sudden they were confronted with a situation where they had no place to go. So my mother just sat me down and asked me how I'd feel about a family suicide. And I was 14 years old, and I said no. And what I don't know, of course, is what would have happened if I'd said yes.
About a year after the ghettos were established, the Nazis began deporting Jews to concentration camps. The deportations were often preceded by selections in which all of the sick, young, and elderly from a given population were killed. While death was always around the corner, the thousands of work camps across Europe were a far cry from the 6 death camps that sprung up in Poland.
We were sitting in snow working. From dawn to dusk, we were sleeping in unheated barracks. We were given very little food. Most of us got sick.
Everybody was in the same boat, and nobody knew what would happen tomorrow, because it was something that there was no information, nobody talked to you. We slept in barracks, wooden barracks, no heat, and platforms, triple deckers, with a little bit straw in it, that's all. We were very crowded together. You couldn't move around. And you got 1 bowl of soup a day if you were lucky.
People were dying from sickness for this, but they didn't kill you. You know, or if you couldn't work anymore, they killed you. But it was a labor camp. It was a concentration camp, not a death camp.
However, it wasn't long before Weinstein experienced the death camps firsthand. The journey alone often amounted to an extermination.
When the train started moving, we didn't know where we were going, but you could hear shots from the guards on the train. People in those cattle cars, where they were dying from the heat and the hydration and the exhaustion, they pushed them in like herring. They started breaking open those little windows, the vents, and started jumping. And the guards were shooting at them.
They had specially trained SS men who told them they were so sorry about the terrible transport they had that things were going to be different for them now. But before they were going to feed them, they had to take showers. Please take your clothes off. They did everything to deceive those people while they herded them into gas chambers.
Nobody, his wildest dreams could have imagined what they're going to do to us. This was Treblinka. That's the map of Treblinka, as I remember. The hospital was this big. And all the sick and the wounded were taken there, shot in the neck and thrown in the pit. And when I came there, I saw a dozen or more infants sitting. They did not cry. Not one of them was crying. They were looking everybody in the faces. They were looking at the big fire with the burning flesh, burning bodies, young and old.
You hear from Holocaust victims about all the cruelties to which they were exposed, right? You know, they weren't exposed to any cruelties in the extermination camps for a very simple reason. Extermination camp was a factory.
Of all my memories of this factory of death, this slaughterhouse, the vision of those babies is the worst. Whenever I remember of Treblinka, I see their beautiful faces. I'll never forget them till I die.